No. Like, I live in a small town.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. So today you guys have your homework due. So I'm going to leave probably like 15 minutes towards the end of the class so that TS can introduce you the new homework that's due next week. There's a checkpoint also today, but let's do the same thing that we did last week. We're going to start with the checkpoint. We'll take 15 minutes, complete the checkpoint, and then we'll start today's class. All right. So the TAs will Slack you out the link for your checkpoint. Go ahead, complete that checkpoint. Again, we'll take 15 minutes for that. As soon as they Slack you out, I'll start the timer, and then we'll start the class. And there is the checkpoint. So we are doing the checkpoint and just Slack it out. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we start today's class, again, I want to do the same first of five. I want to see how this week was, what's going on. So same criteria. Okay. Um, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to first of five now. Mm, please. All right. Anybody have five? I'm just curious. Is there a five? No, no five. Okay. All right. Five fours. I'm okay. What about? Let's see. Anybody a zero? Did you say zero? Who? King zero. Other than king zero. All right. Let's see. One or two. Who said one or two? Two. Josh, you're saying two? You're not two. I don't. All right. Two. Who else? Jeremy. 2.5, three. Okay. All right. So for I'm kind of getting most of the classes like three, maybe four. There might be a few people with four. So the people who said two, again, it's a free forum. You can speak up or not. What else is like? What could be better? Again, given I cannot slow down the class, lectures are not going to slow down. Um, what else? Time. This is the time. Homework is going to come on time. You will have to do it. You will have to make time. Other than that, if there's what else can be done to make it better? It's a time thing. Okay. Do you need help with the time management or okay? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 Usually it's that's the case. I mean, time management is biggest thing in this course, and that's why it's called a boot camp, and you know it better than anybody else, right? Again, Slack is there. You guys have any questions? Please post them. Again, if for some reason you don't want to post them, you can DM me or the TAs. I'm not sure if people are doing that or not. I don't really get private messages. But maybe you are working with the TAs. If you are, that's fine. But again, I would prefer if you post a question on the channel. Again, it helps a lot of other people. I know there are a few people who do that, and thank you guys for doing that. And keep doing that. That's how everybody, all of us, are going to learn, right? Um, it's something that I learn every day. I see different syntaxes and new syntax, right? When you guys post, and I'm like, "Whoa, is that actually works?" Most of the time, it's wrong syntax, but I'm kind of still curious, and it makes me Google and find out maybe there's a better way to do it. But again, it's usually something that I also learn, and when I'm teaching, so that's why I'm here also. So again, please ask questions. Again, I'm not a mind reader nor the TAs. I'm not sure what is going on or what the problem is. Of course, I can see your grades and see some people kind of behind. But again, you guys, need to approach us, kind of ask for help. Okay. Again, it's not going to slow down. All right. It's probably today's class is more interesting, but again, Saturday we're going to start some real world examples, and you will see what we actually how the websites are built and what's going on in the back end. So pretty tough 2 weeks coming up. Okay, and then there's your project week. All right. Okay, let's start. So today's is more about the interview process, and again, this is not the only class, or this is not that I'm going to talk about the technical interview part and then we are not never going to approach this topic. I think it's still too early, but it's good to know what's coming so that maybe you guys can kind of start thinking that way. But again, after this also, we have like a couple of weeks towards the end. Those are kind of project weeks. If you have any questions, you want me to go over something related to what we do today or later, interview process, anything, please feel free, and I'll be always available. Even after the class, even after the cohort is ended, um, I am willing to spend some time, kind of sit with you guys if you want, walk you guys through again through the interview process. Okay. Now this is based on my experience, what I have experienced, and please understand that I've been on both sides of the table. I have interviewed people, and of course, I have been interviewed with. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through, kind of share some of the experiences that I have gone through and what kind of questions people are asking today. Okay. Now, before I start the technical part, some of the terms you guys might have come across or not. Have you guys kind of seen this term? Anybody? It's kind of, FAANG, FANG for short. Have you seen it, Raymond? No. Nobody? Okay. So it's a well, maybe the post or thing that I subscribe to are maybe different, but it's a kind of a little bit popular term when it comes to technical folks. FANG is uh, a short form for the most prestigious, you can say, or the most technical companies that exist today. F is for Facebook, A is for Apple, the third A, or the second A is Amazon. Um, the last one is Google. Anybody know what N is for? Hmm? Netflix. Yeah. So these are, these kind of change over time. Before, like maybe like 10 years ago, it was called Big Four. Big Four were Amazon, Apple, Google, and Microsoft. Microsoft has kind of gone, it's kind of in the low priority now, and people are kind of shifted, and these are the more uh, companies that people, especially in Silicon Valley, these are the most applied companies, and everybody kind of wants to be a part of these companies. Okay. Now, Facebook headquartered in California, Silicon Valley. Same with Apple, Netflix, and Google. Amazon is in Seattle. Okay. But we are kind of a little bit fortunate that Amazon has an office. If you guys didn't know, it's in Tempe. No? Goodyear. I'm not sure about the Goodyear. So the Tempe office is the one that they hire software engineers for. I'm not sure what they're doing in the Goodyear. It might be a warehouse. I'm not sure. It's a data warehouse. Okay. The Tempe office is the one which I'm talking about, that they hire software engineers over there. They have good posts. But in Valley over here, Amazon is probably the most difficult company to get into. If not, it's not impossible, but it's very difficult. The interview process is extremely difficult for Amazon, even if they're over here in Tempe. Okay. Uh, Again, we'll go over it. When it comes to Phoenix over here, I've done some research because I was looking for a job before I moved over here. I moved to Phoenix in 2018 January. So what I have found out is, even though Amazon's interview is probably the most difficult in this valley, it's also the highest paying employer when it comes to engineering. Okay. Again, I'm not. Um, you can ask me anything you want: salary, package, compensation, and everything. Again, this is all public information. You can Google it and you'll find all this information. It's not that I'm trying to hide anything, or it won't benefit anybody if I say, oh, I'm not going to tell you this. Okay. Amazon at my level, if I'm apply as a senior engineer, they are actually paying 180,000 per annum as a base salary. Okay. There's no company which I have found at my level that is kind of competing that. There are companies that are around it a little bit below, but for now, according to my research, Amazon at my level is probably the highest paying employer in this Phoenix area. Okay. Their base salary is, they have a max. They don't usually go up above the max, but what they do is they compensate for other stuff. Okay. So 180K max for like a senior engineer at my position with my experience. Um, then you will also hear a term called TC, which stands for total compensation. Okay, when it comes to tech companies, total compensation includes your base salary. Okay, then there's a signing bonus. Okay, Amazon signing bonus kind of varies from between like 30 to $50,000 if you kind of accept their offer. Okay, and then they have a yearly signing bonus. Oh, yearly bonus. That is based on company's performance. Usually, it's a percentage based. 15 to 20% of your annual salary you'll get as a bonus, as a yearly bonus. You get 15 to 20, something like this. Okay. And then the last thing that attracts a lot of engineers is their stock options. All right. They give, if I'm correct, they'll give you 100K worth of stock options. Okay. And this stock options is spread out over 4 years. Okay. What this means is that you have to be with Amazon for at least 4 years to get this stock options. Okay. A lot of companies do that, and that's the main attraction. When I started working for Walmart, uh, I started working for Walmart in 2011. I was there for 2016 or something. They have a kind of similar structure because they want to be competing. They don't pay 100K. It's more like a 60,000 for 4 years, you can say. Okay. I didn't realize how nice it was. When I started in 2011, stock price for Walmart was 55 and per stock. When I left, it was $100. Okay, doubled it, right? Um, and when I left Walmart, um, uh, when I was looking at companies, when I joined USA, that was the biggest thing that I missed. I was like, man, I need to find a company that offers stock options again. I don't. It's kind of very addicting once you find a company that offers stock options. People actually stress more on the stock options than the base pay. They can compromise on the base pay, but a lot of people, engineers, you will see greedy engineers like me. You kind of want those stock options, right? You got a taste of it. Now I want to work for a company that offers those stock options, right? So this is Amazon. Okay. Now, this is in Phoenix, and this is, I think, is pretty accurate. Again, this is all public information. You can go to Glassdoor. That's my number one source. You can talk to people, kind of get an idea. Of course, you guys are not going as senior engineers, so you kind of come down and see what their pay structure is. Okay. Now, um, they pay this much, but they also have their interview process is one of the most toughest interview process. It's not easy to pass their interview. Okay, it takes a lot of effort. Um, you have to go through. You have to be basically a genius to, well, not a genius, but you need to have that kind of a practice and confidence. Okay, to pass their interview. Usually, phone interview is like a phone screen, maybe an hour. Okay, all technical. They'll give you algorithms to solve, and then if you pass that, they call you on site, and then they grill you for at least 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours you are just writing algorithms and arguing with an engineer who works at Amazon. Okay, um, yeah, no. If you are looking, and this is kind of usual thing. Okay, you will be surprised how this has spread. It's almost every company that I have interviewed, even in Phoenix, they're kind of going through the same process. They call you over, they grill you for like 3 to 4 hours. You do a process, and I'll go through the process because I've gone through the same thing. Okay. Um, now, when I was moving to Phoenix, my number one was that I lived in Texas, Dallas. I went to Arkansas working for Walmart. Then I came over here. The good part about that is that I have never paid for relocation. Okay, every company that I've worked, the offer that I've gotten, they have covered like 100% relocation for me. Okay, when I was moving to Phoenix, the same thing. I was looking for a company who would pay 100% of the relocation. Right, I was not super concerned about stock options, but because I wanted to move over here, then I said once I'm over here, I can find something else. Okay. Uh, from among other companies, USA was the only one who was willing to pay 100% relocation. So they moved me over here from Arkansas, paid 100% of the cost. I worked there. The agreement was that I have to be there at least 1 year. Okay, so I was there for like 1.5 years before. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you guys must have seen that when I started teaching this cohort, I was working for USA. Now I kind of changed companies. I'm working for a different company. I'll go through the process as well. Okay. Um, what else? What else was I going to say? Okay. Yes. Now, when I was looking for a new job, of course, Amazon is one of the companies on my list, and I was actually preparing for Amazon, but the offer that I got currently, it was kind of really nice, kind of coming closer to that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it on the back burner for now. But Amazon also has a really tough working environment. It's not easy to survive over there. That's why they have these stock options for 4 years. You will see that a life cycle of a software engineer is usually 2 years. Okay, usually engineers are at a company for 2 years before they make a jump. Okay, it's studies have been done. It's kind of known fact, right? So these companies have come up with this model where they offer these many stock options so that they can retain their talent. Okay. So generally, if you can survive, if you can sell your soul to Jeff Bezos and survive for 4 years, you get 100K. All right. So and again, I am kind of that person. I'm like, all right, I'm going to sell my soul. I'm going to try to Amazon and work there for 4 years and get the stock options and get out. It hasn't worked out, but that's kind of my plan. Okay. Yeah. It's if you must have seen a few years ago there was a secret report that came out. People were complaining about Amazon. They have they have a super difficult working environment. There's no work-life balance. From what I've heard, I've talked to people. They say, well, it depends on the team, but generally, it's kind of a tough one. Okay, it's kind of hard to survive in Amazon. Also, um, usually you will see people kind of get burned out. Even in the Tempe office, in my current workplace, there's a person who's from Amazon, super smart guy. Uh, he worked there for 4 years, and he said he got burned out. And usually you will see people coming from these companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon. Usually you will see that if you ask them, they're like, oh yeah, I worked there for 4 years, right? Why 4 years? Because of this. Right? If you leave before 4 years, you don't get anything. All right. So usually people try to power through these many years so that they can get those stock options. Right. Again, the stock options are always for life. You get this much worth after 4 years, 5 years. Especially companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, their stock is kind of going up, and eventually will creep up, and you will double your investment. Okay, but those 4 years are super tough if you can survive, especially Amazon. Amazon, I've heard like scary stories, um, but I'm willing to sell my soul for those to Jeff Bezos and see if it works out. Okay, all right. So, any questions? Okay, yes, Goose.
So you get like a signing bonus. Is that usually like mean you have to be there?
Yeah, usually they say 1 year. Yeah, they give you a signing bonus and yes.
So for those of us that don't have 15 years of experience and so forth, like what can we look for?
In terms of pay, again, I mean, with this, I would say I don't know what. If you're starting with software engineering level one, maybe like 90K. But again, this is Amazon I'm talking about. It's not everybody. Amazon in Phoenix is probably the highest paying employer for technical, right? So I was saying you can kind of go down. I'll talk about some other companies and we can see what those are. Okay, let's see. So that's Amazon. That's like, especially if you're in Phoenix, that's like the top paying one. You can't get anything. I don't think you can get more what Amazon is paying anywhere, at least in my experience, what I've done the research. Yes. Yeah, entry level. Yes, you guys are going to be entry level. Yes, just like ASU graduates or what is it? Yeah, yeah. You can go ahead and apply to Amazon and go through their process. Amazon is they're super. Again, they need engineers. Again, the work they do, the environment they do is kind of hard to survive. So they are kind of always looking for engineers. Okay, you just need to have a nice LinkedIn profile. I'll talk to you. Every 2 months, I get a LinkedIn message from Amazon being, hey, why don't you come in for an interview? Why don't you come in? I'm like, well, I'm not ready yet. You know. And by the time I was getting ready, I got different offer, and I was like, well, this kind of. They were like, all right, come, we'll match you something closer. So I'll go through that process as well. Okay. Again, this is the top one. Don't expect that you're going to get that much money unless you're willing to put that effort. But that's like the top one. Okay. The second one that I have found over here is GoDaddy. They are kind of not Amazon level, but they're kind of close to what I would say in this over here in Phoenix. Okay, GoDaddy is also pretty on the top. They pay the engineers pretty well too. Um, at my level, kind of well, not exactly this, but a bit less than that, but they're kind of nice too. They have stock options, similar structure, but their interview process is also extremely tough. Okay, similar to Amazon, they will grill you for 4 hours. All right, what is it? Huh? What was that? Well, they will. So I'll walk you through what 4 hours. It's not like one person and 4 hours. Okay, the interview is divided into 4 phases, and 4 different people will come. But the interviewers are changing. You are still the same person, so you still have to go through those 4 hours. Okay, and I will share experience. I have gone through it, and I still do it. Again, it's how much willing are you to experience that. At the end, it's to me it's worth it. All right, if that's the case, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through it. All right, I'll walk you guys through that process. All right, after so GoDaddy is kind of similar. If you guys are looking again, these are super tough companies. They pay well. Then you have other companies that I found out is Intel. Intel is here. Chester over here worked for Intel a few years ago, so you can contact him and see. Intel is here. Carvana, Josh is there. They're kind of pretty good as well. The only thing is they work on C sharp. Kind of didn't align with my career goals, but they are pretty up there. We had a TA who got an offer from Carvana also. They're also pretty tough. Do you guys go through the same 3 hour, 4 hour interview process for engineers?
I haven't talked with our recruiters yet.
Okay.
I want them to give me like a mock interview.
Okay.
It depends on the team you get on too.
Yeah.
Like the team that I directly work with, like our Southern Carolina team, we have like 10 developers, and some developers are front end, back end, full stack.
Yeah.
Some of them work just off of JavaScript. Some of them just work like C sharp. Some
Yeah.
of them are just working like specific platforms that they know of.
Drive time one. I think it's the same.
Yeah, I think it's
It's like a 3-4 hour.
Yeah. Right. So from what I know, they're also kind of pretty good paying, but you have to go through their interview process. Again, it's 3 to 4 hours. As I said, there was a TA previous cohort. He went through the same process. Then we have USA, where I work. Same thing. Let's see. PayPal is there in Chandler. I don't know if anybody has seen PayPal. PayPal is there. American Express. American Express hires a lot. From this boot camp, you will see a lot of people have gone to American Express. but the process is still the same. All right, I'll walk you through the process. There's no escape from those process if you really want to work for those companies. All right. Keep or Infusionsoft, where I'm working right now. They're a smaller company, but same thing. I went through the 4-hour interview process. It's a nice office. They'll pay you good. I'm getting some stock options. Although they are pre-IPO, they are not like a publicly traded company. But they're still giving me stock options. So in future, if they go public, I'll get more money. If they don't, well, I don't know. I guess I wasted 4 years.
That's all the cereal you can eat.
Cereal I can eat, free peanut butter snack bar. There's a Coke machine. I mean, actually, those are kind of like a. I think only Amazon doesn't do that. Every other company is like willing to put in that money. I'll go through those. Okay, we have. I've seen Choice Hotels. Right, Choice Hotels has a big office over here. They hire a lot of software engineers. Charles Schwab, the financial company, you'll be surprised. They hire engineers also, and then Silicon Valley Bank, right? They are also kind of pretty good. From my experience, I've seen they are kind of willing to pay good amount of money. Okay, OfferPad. If you guys, I know some of you guys went to their office. They're kind of nice office. They're kind of real estate company. They opened a new headquarter in Phoenix, so that's also one company to look for. OfferPad. Um, where Ethan works, Ingenuity. I've actually interviewed over there. They also have a good engineering department. Um, so that's also another company there. They've been hiring a few engineers over there as well. Okay, so these are the like a top like after Amazon, GoDaddy. I would kind of rank them. Those are the other companies. There's one more called Weebly. It helps you make website, but they also have a. It's in Scottsdale. They have a nice office. It's a Canadian-based company, but they have an office here as well. Okay. Um, After that, you will see a lot of small companies who do hiring. Of course, their process is a little bit different. It's based on companies. Maybe companies will just interview about React or JavaScript and be fine with it. But again, the pay scale varies. I mean, you won't be getting stock options. You won't be getting what do you say, signing bonus or maybe a less signing bonus. It just depends. Okay. Now, at my level of experience, I do get some liberties. All right. The biggest liberty is of choice. At this point, I do interviews. I'm kind of well versed on most of them. Um, Basically, comes down to if I'm. It's kind of my choice. I can make a choice. Oh, whether I want to work for them or whether I want to work for them. Okay. But again, this has come over time. It's not easy. I've spent 15 years. I've gone through the process. I have changed myself to kind of align to how the interview process works. But I have put in the due time. It's kind of rite of a passage, right? And I have gone through it. Um, but when I was a new engineer, when I was trying to find a job, to me at that point was like mass applying. I would just apply anywhere. At that point, I had the liberty that I didn't have to stick to a single state or a place. I was willing to like travel and go anywhere. So it kind of opened up more options. So if that's you, of course, California is 5 hours away. You will always find a job over there. That's like the hub. Phoenix is also good. There's Austin, Texas. That's called like the second Silicon Valley these days. Okay. Colorado, Denver. Denver is pretty nice too. Okay. Again, and if your limitation is location, again, it kind of comes down to it. So I would apply everywhere and anywhere, and just make sure try to get as much interviews as possible. Okay. Yes.
So, how often do you do interviews yourself?
Like.
Or you do it, like you interview other people?
Oh, so at every company I worked, after a few months, they expect me to start interviewing people. So, like my current job, this is like my third or fourth week, but my manager has already told me like once 3 months are over, I would be, expected to conduct interviews. That's kind of comes with the senior role that you are expected to kind of start the interview process.
It might be a little early to ask this, but what are like red flags you keep an eye out for? Like, what are the biggest red flags for you when
Yeah.
you're interviewing someone?
Yeah, I'll go through them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Jeremy.
There's also remote position.
Yes, I was going to get there. Okay. So remote positions, which you can work from home basically. There's a super good website that I found. It's called We Work Remotely. Okay. If you are having trouble, these jobs over We Work Remotely are perfect for you guys. Okay, because they are looking for people with less amount of experience. When I was looking for, I would love to work remotely, but all the jobs that I've found were like, oh, we want like somebody with 1 to 3 years of experience. Okay, now you guys are going to be new graduates, but that's what people ask me. I see posts that are asking for 1 to 3 years of experience, but I don't have that. No, there is not a single job posting that you will find where they will say we are going to hire somebody with no experience. Okay, that does not exist. Okay, now what do? Any post that says 1 to 3 years of experience, you go ahead and apply to those. Okay, they are willing to hire new graduates, but I don't know why they refuse to put that in their post that they will hire new graduates. I'm not sure why. Okay, but these are the posts. Again, when I was looking as a new engineer, these are the posts that I used to apply, and that's how it works. Okay, you will never find, the only thing you will find which says no experience would be an internship. Okay, that's about it. I've never seen a post where they say, oh, 0 years of software engineering experience. They always will say 1 to 3.
I
Yes.
think a lot of times they put that to discourage people that don't have confidence or
That might be one.
that they're struggling with it.
Yeah.
They want to try to learn.
I mean, that what's the most that they'll reject your application? That's about it, right? They can't do anything. Or for some people, the scary part would be they will actually call you up for an interview. Right? I'll walk you guys through. You guys are laughing right now, but it's not an easy task to do a technical interview. Yes. Right. I would say 1 to 3. I mean, you've already spent so much money and time. Why not to go for this versus the internships are a little bit tricky. The reason is you have ASU over here, right? That's like the big thing, and a lot of companies give internship to ASU people a lot, right? USA, I've seen, they go there, they have a hiring event, a lot of internships. Internships usually are for the 4 year program graduates who kind of go over there. So I wouldn't spend my time doing that. I would suggest going for 1 to 3 years of experience positions. Okay, so you guys are looking for full stack, React, front end developer jobs, Node.js, backend. That's what you would be looking for. Okay. All right. Any other questions before we proceed? Yes, Mike.
So what companies are most likely to hire a boot camp grad without us?
I said American Express is one of the more popular ones. I mean, again, I'm telling you, the environment is shifting. There's no distinction being made. The only thing is now, um, when it comes to interview process, getting an interview, the only difference between you and me is that with this program certificate, you are going to get a call, and I'm going to get a call because of my 15 years of experience. All right, that's the most. Now we are most probably going to be asked the same kind of set of questions with different timings, maybe, or how much more I know about it. Okay, but if you are able to solve that algorithm on whiteboard and I am not able to do it, you will get the job. It doesn't matter. Okay, this is how the trend is. There is a lack of engineers currently, and if you can clear their interview, you will get the job. It doesn't matter. You did a boot camp, or you went for 4 years of school. You must have heard Apple and Google are kind of taking off the degree requirements at all. So anybody can apply, and if you can pass their interviews, they are saying you deserve a job, or you will probably figure yourself out over here. Okay. But what it comes down to is the difference between you and me is that I have that confidence that I see a lot of people lack. Again, I'm here to help you. I want you guys to be successful. A lot of the time you will hear that people are like, well, if I teach everything to somebody, they are going to come and take my job. Okay? Ooh, thank you. Thank you. All right. Again, if what my philosophy is, if I teach somebody and they come and take my job, they probably deserve it, and it's my fault. Why? Because I have not grown myself to a point, where I'm more valuable. All right. This industry is lucrative, but also extremely brutal. If you are stagnant over here, if you don't grow yourself, you don't grow your technical skills, you will be non-hireable in like a year or two. You know how fast these things grow. Again, when I started my career, I started with C sharp mobile developer. I did some SAP software, and kind of now I'm like Java developer, and I did some front end. So I have to have all this skill set. I have to keep developing myself, right? At this point, the expectation from me is that I lead a team, I mentor junior programmers. I kind of show them the path and see how they're doing. Okay. My promotions are based how many people I recommend for promotions. Okay. What they ask is how many people have you mentored, how many teams you have led, or a big product that you have led. Okay. Because after at this point I have proven my technical skills. All right. I'm a average, maybe above average programmer. With my skills, they know that I can code. Okay, that's not necessary at my level right now. My level is okay. Can you lead a team? Can you mentor somebody? Uh, can you recommend somebody for promotion? That's what they look at. Okay, so at this point, my coding skills required are like maybe like 30%. 70% of the time, I'm kind of expectation is that I lead a team or a company and come up with a product. Kind of, I'm the brain of that company. That's the expectation at this level. Okay. For you guys have to be really good technical skills, coding skills. That's like 80% of your task. As a junior developer, that's the expectation. That you are really good programmers. If you're giving direction, you can come up with the code. Okay. There might not be as much that you need to think, you need to come up with a product. That's my job, but I dedicate that job saying, okay, this is what we are trying to do. Please go ahead and code. And the skill set required is that you are good at programming. Okay. All right. Any questions?
What about mid-level?
Right. Mid level is, I can say, like a 50-50% split. Right. So 50% you will still be expected to code, of course, kind of complete the task. And then you are kind of developing into the senior role. So you would get a chance to maybe lead some more junior developers and see how, maybe a small team, like 2 people, and see how you do. That's kind of shifting towards that goal. Yes.
So compared to like 20 hours of learning review, how much do you put into new learning
So how much? I don't know how much hours I would say. So for example, uh, my latest accomplishment was I did a nano degree course in iOS. I have no idea about iOS programming, Swift, but I was like, all right, this is something I want to do. I completed that. I spent, I don't know, per week. I would say I have a subscription to Pluralsight. That's a kind of uh, nice site to go through the upcoming technologies. So I'm trying to learn Go. Go is another programming language, Golang. I think it's called Golang. So I mean, I haven't started on it, but that's one of my other things. Then you have Amazon Web Services and Google Cloud Platform. That's I'm kind of working towards a Google Cloud Platform. How do you set it up and all that stuff. Per week, I would say, well, especially if I'm teaching over here, I don't get a lot of time, but you know, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe like 3 hours, you know. And again, those 3 hours, it doesn't matter at this point. It's not the number of hours; it's the quality. At this point, you kind of get the idea what's going on. So I don't have to be as basic, but I get the idea. Okay, this is covered. Now I need to look into this. This kind of makes it easy. Even if you're learning a new language such as Go, right? The syntax is different, but the logic and everything is still the same. So it's kind of easier for me to pick it up. Okay. All right. Any other questions? But that point will eventually come for you guys. Right now, it's heads down and somehow get to become, I wouldn't say expert, but really good at JavaScript, because that's your skill set right now. JavaScript, uh, jQuery is fine, but JavaScript is the number one skill set that, because when they ask you a question, when they ask you to come to the whiteboard and write code, you're going to be writing the code in JavaScript, right? Because that's the only language that you know at this point. Unless you guys are learning something different, that's okay. You can do it. The good part about interviews is that they give you a choice. When I go in interview, they ask me, "Hey, what language do you want to use?" I say, "I want to do it in Java." Right? When you guys go in, they'll ask you the same question, or the assumption is you will pick the language of your choice. It doesn't matter, right? What they're looking for is how do you come to the logic, right? How do you solve a problem? It doesn't matter if it's in JavaScript, Java, C Sharp, Go, Ruby, anything. It doesn't matter. Okay? Questions? Good. All right. So how do you do it? The number one thing is LinkedIn. I keep telling people, but you have to shamelessly advertise yourself. All right. LinkedIn is in today's number one communication method that recruiters use, companies use. They're searching LinkedIn profiles to find out these candidates. Okay. So you need to have not just LinkedIn profile, but a good LinkedIn profile. Okay. Um, what does a good LinkedIn profile look like? Now, let's suppose I was giving, I think, Saul this example. So let's suppose I wake up one morning and I'm like, all right, I've done this for too long. I'm going to give up all these nice things. I don't worry about money anymore. I'm going to I've found something and I'm going to like help people, right? And I say I'm going to become a nurse, right? For some reason, right? For some reason, I'm ditching my stock options, my 2 times playing table tennis at work, massage chairs, free coke. I'm like, no, I'm going to leave all this. I'm going to become a nurse. I'm going to work 14 hours. All right. And then I'm going to be tired all week. That's, somehow I want to help people, right? That's a rare possibility. It's not going to happen. And I'm giving a nurse example because my wife is actually a nurse, and I've seen her. And I go home, I'm like, oh my god, I had such a tough day. And I look at her, I'm like, you know what? Never mind. She's like, what? So instead of two, now in my resume, if I'm only allowed one page resume. Remember this, one page resume. That's it. That's the real estate you guys have. Okay. Now in my one page resume, I fill up three-fourths of my resume with my 15 years of ID experience and all the awesome projects that I've worked on. And then one-fourth of my resume is related to nursing. Or maybe I volunteered because a company forced me to go and volunteer somewhere, right? Or during my nursing course, I was what do they call it? It's not a resident. I don't know. They go to hospitals and do like a training. I did that. Okay. What's going to happen? I'm not going to, I won't even come up in the searches, and nobody's going to look at my resume. Why? They're not interested in those 15 years anymore, right? They are interested in what you did uh, as a nurse. You're applying for a nursing job, so they're interested to see what have you done related to it. Okay. So in this case, what I have to do is I have to switch around. My three-fourths of my resume should be related to nursing somehow. I don't care how, make a connection. There was one time I went to Habitat for Humanity for a company, just shamelessly advertise that. I don't care what it's somehow. I need to say, all right, I went over there. I really care about people. That's why I went over there. It has nothing to do with the company that forced. So I was getting a day off. It has nothing to do with that, right? So somehow you need to kind of come up of these points and express interest that you are trying to get into that field, right? Three-fourths of that. One-fourth, I'm an expert in computer science, but when it comes to nursing, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares if I've completed a project or not, right? It doesn't matter. So one-fourth of my experience, I'm going to say, all right, in my previous life, this is what I did, and done. This is the same case with you guys. For you guys who are coming from different industries, okay? Number one thing I've seen is that people update their LinkedIn or resumes with all the 10 years of experience that they have in a different industry. And then somewhere there's a boot camp with like one or two projects. Okay, it's not going to work. If you are going through a career change, you have to accept the fact that you have to give more real estate to this projects that you work over here. The program, that's what you want to do. Okay. So that's the number one in your resume. You have to have now. How do you don't have any experience? What do you do? You at least you're going to be completing 3 projects in this course. Okay, 3 projects and choose one of your best homework. Okay. Now whoever is looking at your resume, they don't know if it's a homework or it's a project. They don't care. You put those all of those as projects on your resume, right? 3 4 go through, oh, this is what I did in my boot camp, this was my project, explain your project, the technologies you used, and fill up your page. Okay, that's your experience. All right. You can use words, well, I led my team, or I did this, I was a front-end engineer in my project, or I was a back-end and I did this. The only thing is you need to be well versed in the project that you're putting over there. So if I ask you any question, anything that you put on your resume, it's all fair game. I can ask you question related to anything that you put on your resume. Okay. um, Especially in our computer, when people are working, they put languages that they might have not only heard but maybe wrote like a single line, for example like C++. I get it, especially from college graduates, they put C++ as a skill set, and then I ask them something about C++, just the basic thing, and they're not able to answer. Okay, it kind of reflects back. So do not put on your resume that you think you're not comfortable in ask. Okay, in answering. Okay, does not mean you don't put JavaScript over there. Okay, that's your main language. Please do put JavaScript. Okay, all right. Um, and then the next part is LinkedIn. From my previous program people, who have graduated, I go to their LinkedIn profile, still the same, not updated. I don't know. I message them. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Some of those people are really good, and they have a potential. They're going to be good programmers, are going to be better than me. I can assure. Even from this class, I can point out some people. I'm kind of good at that. I can point out people who are going to be good programmers and even do really good job. The only thing is, you guys don't know how to advertise yourself. I mean, I give all these pointers. You have to go look through some good LinkedIn profiles and see how they have done it. Okay, look through my profile. I mean, I know there's a difference, but see what the format is. How do you make your LinkedIn profile? LinkedIn has really good search algorithms. The problem with that is your profile won't show up if somebody is searching for a front end developer or a JavaScript developer, Node.js. Why? Because you're missing some keywords. You haven't put in your projects as an experience. Or there are like different techniques that you can use. But the thing is, a lot of people don't do that. The only thing I see is University of Arizona boot camp, from this day to this date, and that's it. And few words about JavaScript, HTML, CSS, React, and this and that. Okay, it's not going to work. Right, so you need to make sure that your LinkedIn profile, you have to somehow shamelessly advertise yourself, especially if this is going to be your first job. Okay, the first job is always the toughest. Once you work somewhere, all right, you get a company's name, it kind of adds to your profile. But right now, the only company basically you're working for is this boot camp, and you're working on some projects. So that's your experience. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Yes.
You should probably wait on that though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's never too late to at least create a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Right there. I told you in the first day I have searched every single of you on LinkedIn, right? And there are people who I didn't find, so probably they don't have profiles. So at least create a profile, start adding those connections. That would be a good start for now.
I just wouldn't know what
What to put?
if I were to update it now.
Um,
Some more milestones.
how many homeworks have you done? 4. One of them is your portfolio. You can put that portfolio over there. One of the you're going to complete jQuery JavaScript homework is kind of like a game. If you think it's really good, you can put that over there or share it saying, hey, I worked on this. You can host it on GitHub and people can kind of see that. That's something you can do. You're not looking for a job right now, but you can advertise yourself as a upcoming programmer. Those are things you can do. You will see a lot of people put their projects as status on LinkedIn and they share those posts. You can start doing that. Hey, this is the game that I did, and just share it. Those are some of the things you can do. But you need a LinkedIn profile for that. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, so please go ahead and create one. Start adding people. Search people who have graduated from this boot camp. Start some talks and see if you can make connections and where they're working or if they're not working, what's going on. If they're not working, look at the profile. See what you can do better. All right. Somebody else also had a question. Okay. All right. So some of the websites that I look for jobs. One is for Indeed, Indeed.com. Glassdoor is another good one. Glassdoor kind of tells you they have reviews about the company. They have salary ranges, what you can expect from that company. It's a good tool that has always helped me with negotiations. When I look at some of the salary ranges, I kind of have an idea what they're going to offer, and then I decide on, okay, what am I going to negotiate. So that's a really good one. Those are two, and then LinkedIn also has a job posting. These are the three that I have really used. Okay, Indeed, Glassdoor, and then LinkedIn Jobs. Okay, I shared WeWork remotely. That's a really good site also. If you're interested in remote work, I would like to do that someday. We'll see where it goes, but that's a really good site for. Especially, I've seen they require very less experience. Those are startup companies that are, they have something. So they let you work remotely because they don't have office space or they're saving on office space. And then they're looking for people who have less experience. So not only they can pay them less, it's not only that. The other thing is they are looking for coders who can just like sit down and code all day long. Okay, so they're looking for people who have like 1 to 3 years of experience because, as I said, in your career, that's the time when people are trying to come up, make their skill set and all that stuff. So these are the range, these are the junior developers that people are looking for. So we work remotely is really good, especially for um, you guys with less experience. And usually these companies are startups. That's what I've seen. Okay. Any other questions before we move on? Any of the TAs, you guys, any different experience?
Someone asked about spending time learning,
Hmm.
like how much time you spend learning.
Yeah.
And I find that there's no substitute for trying to solve problems that you have. So especially, like when you're at work, maybe every day I don't go home and like watch tutorials and learn something new.
Yeah.
But you come across a new problem at work and you have to learn something new how to solve that problem. And so for you guys that you haven't gotten to that job that you learn how to solve those problems. You think of like examples of applications that you might want to build in your spare time. And when you start building, you might be like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. Then you just start from the beginning. Be like, okay, I have this problem. I need to figure out how to make a website. How do I authenticate a user? Like Google, how do I authenticate a user? And then you start there. And, I feel like it's no substitute for just trying to do something even if it feels really overwhelming.
I'd also say applying so many, as many places you can at once.
Yeah.
Kind of shoot yourself in the foot too, because a lot of them don't have any code tests and shit. So
How I have, again, this is not as relevant right now to you guys because you guys, as I said, I have some liberties. I get to choose where I want to work. Um, you guys are right now in a mode where you are going to apply everywhere, and whoever offers the best job, you're going to take it. Because especially the first one is more difficult. Let's suppose, for example, few months ago, I was targeting. Okay, I'm going to try to get a job at Amazon, right? That was kind of like a goal. So what do I start? How do I start is that I apply to companies that I am least interested in. Okay, I have these list of companies. I go on Glassdoor and kind of look through those companies, and I only apply to a company that I'm not seeing that I'm going to take their job. Right? I've seen their maybe salary requirements, and I've seen the office. I'm like, I don't think it's worth my time. But why I do that? The thing is, I'm trying to get like a warm up exercise so I can build my interview skill by the time I reach to a certain point. Right? You get rusty over time, and this is kind of practice round. This is how I start. So I start applying to companies, get the interview, go through the process and everything. Probably most of the time I kind of fail these ones, not intentionally, but because I'm rusty, kind of getting back to that whiteboarding mode. So that's why I apply to the companies which I'm not interested because I know I'm going to fail the interview, right? I'm going to go ahead and embarrass myself. Again, that's the biggest difference between me and you that I'm willing to go and embarrass myself. A lot of students, a lot of you guys are scared and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to embarrass myself when I'm standing in front of the whiteboard. I was the same way, but you have to conquer that fear. If you want the job, you will have to stand over there, talk about it, write code without any ID. You have to do it, right? It comes with practice. What I did was I bought a whiteboard and I have it in the room. And whenever I'm going through the interviews, I just sometimes I ask my wife to sit over there and just I'm like talking to her. She has no idea what I'm saying, but I'm like just sit over there, pretend, and I'm going to solve this problem in front of you. It's not that I don't know how to solve the problem. The thing is that I'm trying to build my confidence that I can stand over here and actually code that out in front of the interview. Okay, that's the number one thing. Again, best thing is start early and kind of start getting into that mode. So this is how I start the process. I mean, I kind of fail these interviews, and by the time I'm kind of over here, I'm kind of very confident, and I can walk into the interview, kind of have an idea what people are going to ask questions because I have practiced enough, and then kind of walk through it. Okay, that's how my interview process is. For you guys, it's going to be more since right now you guys don't have a choice. It will be more like apply massively and try to get as many interviews as in. But please don't be shy in going an interview. A lot of people, even in my previous cohort, I said there are people who have a great potential, but they are just scared or they don't have the confidence. They don't think they can do well in whiteboard. Okay. Yes, you will fail the first one. You're going to embarrass yourself, but this is the way. In today's world, you cannot escape an interview where you don't have a whiteboard, right? That's the trend. Okay. Personally, I don't agree with that interview process. It's broken. Okay. But that is how it is, right? There's what I've read is there's not a better way. There's a whole logic that goes behind it. So one of the arguments is, well, I can learn these set of questions and anybody can go and do the interview process. Okay. So here's what companies are willing to do. If you're willing to put that much time to actually learn something and go and pass the interview, you'll be successful. You know how to code, and we will get something out of you. That's the goal behind it. Okay. The other thing you will see is you apply to a company, and then you fail their interview. Okay. Let's suppose you apply to Amazon and you fail their interview. Okay. What these guys do is after 6 months they give you a clean slate. Okay, I have been contacted, right? The current company that I'm working for, I actually interviewed with them in 2018 when I was trying to move over here and I failed the interview. After 6 months or recently, they again contacted me and they said, well, you did well. We want you to come in again. We think what happens? What these companies are doing is every 6 months, they will give you a clean slate and maybe call you up again. Why? They're saying maybe you had a bad day or you were not prepared, something was going on. They don't want to lose out on a good resource just because he or she was not able to do a whiteboard. Okay, they'll give you a chance, and they keep giving that chance. I have a friend who works for Facebook in Seattle. It took him 3 tries to get into Facebook. Every 6 months he would go and apply, better himself, and eventually he got hired. Okay. This is generally, and it's a known thing. All these big companies, they kind of give you clean slate after 6 months. Same over here. Amazon will do it. GoDaddy will do it. Keep or Infusionsoft where I'm working, they will do the same thing. They contacted me again and said, "Hey, why don't you come in for interview again? We thought you were a good resource. We just want to do it again." Okay. Um, USA will do it. All these IT companies, they will do it. Again, the reason is maybe you were out of practice. Maybe you were just having a bad day. You didn't sleep well. Something happened with you, so that's why you were not your 100% self. Um, but when it comes to coding and knowledge, maybe you're really good, right? It doesn't reflect. But again, that's the process. So that's why we have these whiteboarding sessions, and they kind of give you more chances. Okay. Or let me give you a 5 minute really quick, and then we'll take a break. Usually, what happens in the interview process is you apply somewhere. The first call you get is from the recruiter. The recruiter is not technical person at all. They probably don't even know the difference between Java and JavaScript. All right, I'll be honest with you. I've heard people calling me, "Hey, there's a JavaScript job." I'm like, "Well, I'm a Java programmer." They're like, "Yeah, that's why I'm calling you." I'm like, "Okay, all right." So those are, but be nice to them. They are your front door to the company. If the recruiter says that the person I called was kind of rude or didn't sit well with me, you're not going to get the second call. Okay. Usually that's the easiest one. All you have to do is just show some excitement, just talk to the person, talk nicely to them. That's all they're looking for. Okay. What they will do is they will give you a background of the job description. They will tell you about the company, and they will just ask formally, like, "Hey, walk me through your career." That's all they're looking for. It's usually like 20 minutes. If you're a really good talker, it'll be like 30 minutes, but that's about it. Okay. The If you pass the recruiter thing and they kind of match your resume with the job description, you will get an phone screen. What they call it's usually an hour long, 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. It's a call plus a video. Usually it's a video chat as well. In my experience, I've seen both ways. Usually they call you, or they use a Zoom or some WebEx or some kind of a video chatting software. Okay. The other scenario is the recruiter can also send you a link, coding test. Okay. Usually the coding test is between 1 and 2 hours, and the recruiter will say, "Hey, in your own time within this week, please go to our site over here. This is the link, and take this test." The tests usually have like 4 or 5 questions, algorithm questions, situation questions, something around those. Okay. So that's also, be prepared for that as well. I've done both things. I've done a full screen, and I've also done online quizzes. You must say yes.
Are the online quizzes like often timed, I assume?
Yes. So those are between 1 and 2 hours. I've taken both. The most I've taken is like 2 hours. Okay, 2 hours. They had like 5 questions. You have to complete them. Okay. Now again, on those in that test, it's kind of a little bit lenient that if you do like you pass a threshold, you'll get the second call. Unless you have no idea about programming and you're just like sitting over there, that's the chance where you will fail that online test. Usually they are just looking for, okay, do you know what the question was? Can you code? Can you write a function in JavaScript? Can you at least do something? Can you understand from the words? Can you translate them into code? That's what they're looking for. Okay. Yes.
You say that you're wanting to write the function JavaScript. Based off of the knowledge that we have thus far,
Yes.
let's say we're on a scale of 1 to 5. What would you say the difference in questions are? Are they extremely difficult, or are they looking for just the basics of, hey, I can write a function here, I understand this line of code that
Okay.
use an object of some sort?
Yeah. So when it comes to front end, what they would do is some of the questions would be, you would have, just like our quizzes over here, you will have JavaScript code given to you, and they will ask you what the output is. Basically, they're trying to test, do you understand scope, closures? Can you kind of do something about? Do you understand that? That's one thing. The other thing is they would give you a scenario, and we'll go through some of them. They'll give you a word statement, right? How do you do this, right? Um, let's suppose there's a program, and we'll do one of those. They'll say write a function that checks if the number is a prime number or not. If I pass in a number to a function, tell me if that number is a prime number or not. That's actually a question that they, it's an interview question. Okay, so what they're saying is, with our knowledge of JavaScript, everybody, you can write that function. It's not the what they're looking for is, can you come up with the logic? How do you translate this statement into code? How do you come up with an algorithm that if I give you a number versus, let's suppose, 2 or 6, how do you tell that this is a prime number and this is not a prime number? Okay, that's actually a real question that have been asked. Okay, so something similar to that. We'll take a look at some more questions. Okay. All right. Any other questions before? Okay. Once you go through this, the last step is that 4-hour interview. I have gone through it. 4-hour means they distribute between like 45 minutes to 1 hour. There will be 4 different people. They will come up. All is whiteboarding. You just have to stand in front of a whiteboard. They will give you kind of similar question. Like suppose they will ask you, hey, how do I write a function that you pass in a number and it says whether this is a prime number or not. Okay, now what do? You don't have to use the ID. You have to write it on the whiteboard. So you have to say, oh, function, prime number, and everything. The whole algorithm has to be written on whiteboard. Okay, practice. That's all I can say. There's no shortcut to that. You have to. When I worked for Walmart for 6 years, and when I was looking a job over here, and I was like, I'm not going to whiteboard. I refuse. I was like, I have these many years of experience. I need some respect. Guess what? Reality hit me. I was like, all right. I bought a whiteboard. I went through the whole process. Now I'm like, I feel like I'm super comfortable. I've done really good job at whiteboarding, and then it kind of gives you leverage that you can ask. You can negotiate pretty well. That's what I've experienced. Okay. So that's where the whiteboarding comes. Okay. Again, if you're looking for a lot of companies, this has kind of trickled down to even like smaller companies. Usually this was like reserved for those FANG companies, Facebook, Amazon, Google, but you will see that mid-level, kind of slowly this small companies, they're kind of following the same trend. This is catching on really, really fast, right? If not whiteboarding, definitely uh, um, online tests. And online tests, there are 2 sites mostly you will see is called Hacker Rank. Okay, you will get some links to this one, and they'll ask you to kind of go to HackerRank and solve some problems. The site that I use to practice these things is called Lead Code. Okay, they have like 500 questions or something that companies have asked. Sort by easy and start solving one of them. Right today, this day, I still go to this website and like try to solve at least one algorithm. Right? Why? Because I don't ever want to be out of practice if I'm looking for a job next time. Okay, Lead Code. It's free. They have a membership, but you don't have to worry about it. You get all questions, and you can sort by easy, medium, difficult. I would sort by easy and start solving the questions that are over here in JavaScript. Right? They have a nice built-in IDE. You don't have to worry about anything. If you go over there, they'll give you like a nice screen, and you can start typing your code. Okay, but this is like the best site that I have found for good practice of these algorithms. Okay, so those 4 hours, they'll ask you 4 different interviewers. Most probably, they come in, they ask you different algorithms. At that point, everybody reviews separately, and then at the end of the day, they kind of come together and they give you a number, whatever the threshold number is for passing that interview. If it comes to that, then you get the manager call. Manager call is just like a formality, and basically they're going to make you an offer if you get to that point. Okay. The other thing, manager, especially when you're doing whiteboarding, they're looking for is a team player. Okay, I stress, and please trust me, if you are a good programmer, but there's any indication and somebody, one of the interviewers say, hey, you know what, I don't think he or she is a team player, you are out of the process, you're not going to get that job. Okay, if and I've seen this, some of the interviewers will intentionally say, oh, I don't think that's a right solution, how would you do this or that. They're trying to see how do you act if somebody disagrees with you. There will be disagreements, you will see disagreements in the project also. They're trying to see what happens if somebody disagrees with you. Where do you like flare up? You're like, how dare you say that my algorithm is wrong, right? No, nobody wants to work with this guy. Okay, um, so team, being a team player, being nice. There are a lot of arrogant pricks as engineers, and you can see how, because we get pampered so much. You have like free this, free that, right? It kind of spoils a lot of people, but slowly it's changing. They want not only good programmers but somebody with some skills that people, because you're going to spend like 8 hours with somebody, with a team. They want the productivity to go up instead of going down. Okay, it's a team effort. Individually you could be a really strong programmer, but as a team, if you cannot work, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so a lot of managers kind of looking for that quality also, and it comes out when you're whiteboarding, when you are talking to how you're talking to your interviewer. It kind of all comes out over there. Okay, um, I have a just one last story, and then we'll take a break. I have the same friend who works at Facebook. He's now trying to. He completed his 4 years. He has all the stock for Facebook. Now he wants to try something else. He's trying for like Google or something. So he was telling me he was interviewing, and there was a uh, another engineer at the other end who was asking the questions, and she gave him a problem to solve, and he's a really good programmer, and he understood the problem and he solved it like the best way you can solve the problem. Okay, and maybe who was interviewing was maybe a junior programmer, I don't know, but she had a different solution. So she was like talking to him and telling him, hey, can you do it in another way or something? And he was like, well, this is actually the best way. I mean, you know what, you're wrong. And then he told me he was like arguing with her, and then he was like, after a moment, there was like maybe she hit mute or something, and then she came back on the line and she said, okay, yeah, that's fine. And the next morning he got the rejection, and he said that's the fastest rejection I have like ever gotten, right? And before he got the rejection, he was telling me, oh, she probably went to somebody else was also on the line, and she talked to somebody, and they must have said, yeah, the guy knows what he's doing, because I was right, I know. I was like, yeah, I don't think that's what happened, right? So just be careful. Some people have said, oh, this the interview was so rude and this and that. Sometimes I've seen they are kind of intentionally trying to see what happens if they disagree with you. So try to find a better way to say the same thing. You can be like, hey, yeah, okay, can you walk me through more? I think I'm doing this, but I could be mistaken. Can you point me which line of the code you think is not efficient, or how could I make it better? There are much nicer ways you can talk with the same thing. Okay, they are kind of looking for what happens if I disagree with you. Okay, so that's also like a really good skill to have. Just be lookout for these kind of things also during the interview. Okay, that's a lot of information. Let's take a break and we'll start back at 8. Let's do it at 8:15. And then we'll take a look at some algorithms and how do we solve them. Yes, sir.
With this class, with the little bit of the different style programming I have at my work,
Okay.
Can you help coach me through a USA interview?
Yeah.
Because that's my goal, is to work there.
Okay.
Because I know there are other benefits. I mean,
No, yeah,
every
I can.
company has awesome benefits, but I also look at, like, they offer paternity leave and it's paid.
Oh, yeah.
They offer a lot of other benefits.
No, I
that-
can walk you through. I know what kind of questions they ask and what's going on. Yeah, I can walk you through. They have the similar thing.
Right.
They'll grade you for like, I think they do it for like 3 hours.
Right.
A couple of different interviewers.
Yeah, well, I think they have like the basic interview, that the syntax of the same interviews that everybody goes through, just broken up to what department you're gonna interview for.
Yeah.
So with my wife working there, I kind of already know the steps you go through. You get I think it's the first phone interview. Sometimes you get a second, or you go straight to the
The Phoenix
oral.
office.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So Heather, I think, was one of the few people that she skipped her second, and by the time after her oral interview, by the time she got to their parking lot, they called her for a position.
Okay.
So
Oh, she's in the IT?
No, just she's in I forgot what position she started in, but she does escalations ERT helpline member.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
But when she first started there 5 or 6 years ago,
Mhm.
it was for her position. It's you almost have to go through a second oral,
Okay.
but like I said, she skipped the second phone, went to the oral, and by the time she got to the parking lot, she had the job.
Oh, okay.
She went. I mean,
Yeah.
she aced her interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
But IT's probably
ID is a little bit different.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of similar thing. They started with a phone. I think they do the online test.
Right.
Yes, I had to do an online test, and then they call you in the IT office, and then they have like 3 hours. Then they have those. Yeah. They sit you in a room. They have a situational, they call it, where they're checking your team player and all these activities. And then there's a technical for like 2 hours. I think 2 to 3 hours. Yeah. They whiteboard some algorithms, make you solve something on paper. Yeah, I can walk you through. It's a pretty standard interview.
Like one of my, because I'm gonna have like other relative programming that's not related, but related, like I told you before.
Mhm.
And I guess the easiest way I can get that syntax through is I can write a few lines of normal G and M code,
Okay.
and then show like it's just like you showed an example before. It's almost longer to do a short code.
Right.
It's almost longer to do the easier code because you have to put
Yeah.
so much information. But if it's 100 pages long,
Yeah.
it could be 1,000 pages long. As long
Right.
So I can do that syntax of here's this standard, then here's this
Right.
logic programming to make this standard
Well,
shorter.
to be honest, if they ask you a whiteboarding question, they're actually not even looking for the syntax.
Mhm.
They are looking for your logic. Now the question is, if I give you a number, how do you find this is a prime number? What's the logic you come
Okay.
up with? How do you come up with that logic? That's the most thing. Syntax, they know you can learn syntax. That's
Right,
okay.
okay.
You might not even be programming in JavaScript. They'll put you on Java or something. Right?
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But can you come up with that algorithm to write up?
Would it
If
be,
you can, then yes.
would it be beneficial to know like two different styles of doing it?
What do you mean
like-
two different?
Two different here's one way of doing it, or here could be an easier way, or
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So you.
if I gave like two different examples, they would know that. I
Right.
do
So
know.
the first solution that you come up, we call it brute force.
Mhm.
That means that you will get what you're looking for, but it's not efficient, and that's what you start.
Right.
with.
Yeah.
Right. So first you just solve the problem, whatever comes to your mind. The interviewer will be like, okay, you've done it. Now then they start probing. Then they'll be like, oh, can you make it more efficient? Why do you have this? I know it works, but I don't think it's efficient. How do you make more efficient? So that's your second. That's
Okay.
how the interview process kind of goes. The first solution is mostly like a brute force. But again, at your level, that's totally fine. At my level, if I do the brute force, they'll like kick me out of the room. They're like, well, you have this much experience. You shouldn't even be coding that.
Right.
Right? You should just talk about it and move on to the next solution. For you
Okay.
guys, yes.
Because I think I would have a shot at their, like you said before, like the mid-level, then be offered a entry level or
Yeah.
So, and I do want to work there because I know they have the other benefits. That
Oh,
I
yeah.
want.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Do you get to? I think you get as a company as a whole. They all get like the standard same time off. Like
Yes, they got the same time.
They get
Yes.
a lot of time.
Yeah, you have to. You have to earn every paycheck, but everybody
Right.
gets the same.
And then you can
7
buy like
days.
you can buy a
Yeah,
week,
40 hours and 80 hours. Yeah.
See what else is there. Like when Heather, when
They have bonuses.
Yeah.
Same. Everybody gets in the
10 to 18%.
yeah, and then 2 weeks pay
Yep.
at the end of the
Yeah, an extra paycheck, a bonus
yeah
paycheck at the
at
end
the
of
end
the
of
year.
the year. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's other things that add up other
Yeah.
than looking at the whole.
No, of course it's a especially if your wife is working. It's a
Yeah.
good company to start with.
With most give us bonuses like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think it's in February they get that. End of
So my 2
February.
weeks I got in December.
Well, yeah,
and-
your extra pay, your bonus. Pay
Yeah, you got it in
And
December.
then in February you get your.
Yeah, I think January end or something.
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, you get it.
I think the highest she got so far is 18% of gross pay.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, but at the higher level.
Yeah, that's even more. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
that's why it's percentage based. So let's suppose again this is all information. Just go to Glassdoor, find USA. You will see all the salary people are posting
Right, yeah.
anonymously. You'll figure out So the only weird part about USA is their engineering levels. Usually, if you go to a company, they are like software engineering 1, 2, 3,
Mm-hmm.
senior something. For some reason, they do 3, 2, 1.
Backwards, right?
This is the only company I've seen that does that.
Actually, there's a,
So
like
it's
in
so confusing.
manufacturing's the same way.
The same way?
Yeah, level
Okay.
3 is your lower, level 2,
Oh, really?
level 1. Yeah,
They
it
do
screwed
the
me
same.
up when I first came over here too. I'm like, level 3 should be the higher one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So usually you will say it's 1, 2, 3, but yeah, USA
Yeah.
does 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
So if they're offering you 3, this means they're actually offering the lowest junior's position over there. And they have hired a couple of few boot campers from different
Yeah.
ones. So it's
With
not,
you being working there, knowing that,
Yeah.
you'd be the best shot of.
yeah, I can get.
And then because I know we're learning a lot of different stuff, but if there's like one self-help, because I'm like, I understand what I'm doing when I'm doing it, but
Okay.
because I'm learning it and I'm kind of stressed on time for like studying, like hardcore studying, like you would with a book, and
Yeah.
that's why when we do the what do we do at the beginning of the class,
Checkpoint.
the checkpoint. I'm getting like if I look at how many I got wrong, like percentage of it, I'm like that DC area.
How much are you getting? How much? What was your score at today's?
Today was 60. Last week was 67. So I'm
Okay.
looking at that DC, but
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. It's just like that's why I say I'm about a 2, about a 3. I'm in between because
Right.
testing wise I'm about a 2.
Yeah.
Doing it wise I'm about a 3.
Okay.
Because it's like that test anxiety. I just even though I can pass an EMT test, which is a brutal test,
Yeah.
I still have a hard time. I got to know the if I don't remember covering that,
Mhm.
I'm not going to remember what it is. But I remember it by
Right.
doing what I was doing earlier today because I had 4 hours of just straight programming.
Right.
Some of it was falling in play. If I didn't have that today, I probably would have got worse.
And how will you get better at it? Just practice. You know,
Right.
that's what I say. That the activity, the solution is there. If you think you use the template unsolved one and you solve the problem and you're comfortable with it, I would say delete the whole thing, start
Right,
from
do
the
it
top
again,
one
right.
and do it. Right. That's the only way to kind of get that practice.
Then I was wondering if there's any kind of self-help book that you would recommend.
Self-help.
Like, not dummies for JavaScript, but, or JavaScript for dummies. But just, something in that line of, like, this would be, like, the best book to...
Oh, so I can look up again in my previous presentation. I think like week 3. Look at the presentation.
That
There are
one
like
where
2
it's-
books.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
the
those
online book,
I've
yeah.
heard those are
Okay.
really good. Look at
Yeah,
those,
I've-
and then
I've
there's a
started-
JavaScript
yeah.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, I looked
that
through
book is
those.
a good
I forgot
one. So
So, okay, I forgot about those.
yeah, take a look at that JavaScript book. You can skip the HTML, CSS, but the
Mhm.
JavaScript book, because for you guys, JavaScript is the foundation, and that's what you'll be programming in. That's what you'll be interviewing in.
Okay.
So you should know exactly how
So I
to
should
write
just-
that code.
Concentrate. I mean, I'm going to learn everything, but
Yeah.
concentrate extra time with JavaScript.
JavaScript is foundation for everything. If you
Okay.
don't know JavaScript, you don't know jQuery. You wouldn't know Node.js. You wouldn't understand React. You
Yeah.
won't understand anything.
Okay.
Because everything behind the scene is still JavaScript. And the interview process, they are going to ask you, if in the interview they ask you a React question towards the end, it's most probably that you have cleared the main one and they're just React or these are always a bonus because today is React, tomorrow is going to be something else.
Right, yeah.
But JavaScript is there to stay and they want your foundation to be good. Then they say, oh, you have done React. Do you know about this thing in React? You're like, yeah, I know this, and they're like, oh, that's a bonus point. So,
Okay.
that's
That's kind of like
your,
buying a computer. It's already 6 months old data when you get it.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's the same thing over here.
Okay. Works.
For now, I'm going to do at least project 1 and we are closer to
Right,
project
yeah.
2. Will be more comfortable. Right now,
Yeah.
it's, you need to know JavaScript and then jQuery, understand all the concepts that we have gone through, how the click events are working, how those are working. And then starting from Saturday, there's even more stuff coming through. So really comfortable. We haven't even seen the real thing about JavaScript.
Right.
So we are going to start
I
doing
know
it.
there's so
Yeah.
much more to it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that works. Thanks.
Yep.
These get degrees.
What should be happening?
Right, so that's what it's saying. So when you click on one, the whole thing is supposed to just disappear where it's at.
Just like that. So at some point, it works like that. It's something weird.
Right.
If like you work hard on something you want
I did, but then it breaks it. Yeah, well, no, not everything.
I know why. That's how it is.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems, a lot of issues. It's not just
Excuse me.
Huh?
I got a quick question for you.
Huh?
Well, it's really far down my session 22. It's like sorting algorithms. How important is that? How important is that particular session going to be?
Are you going to miss it?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay.
Then my brother's getting married the next day out of state.
Well, there's a. Yeah,
Hopefully.
if the internet works, but I
Yeah.
usually upload my video so you can watch it.
Okay, cool. Because I don't like having to miss class. Like,
Yeah,
alright, awesome.
you're good.
Thank you.
So you have the rise and the fire in the same dip on two different scenes. What if you put it what do you put on the same dip? Because it's like you said, your HTML.
All right, let's go ahead and give it a try, see a few questions, and how would we go about solving them. Okay? Some of the questions, again, most of the questions are about the concept. They are looking for, usually the interviewers are looking for how do you analyze the problem and how do you come to the solution. Okay? There might not be even a right answer. They're just trying to see how do you approach the problem and how do you come to the conclusion. All right. For example, the first question. The first question is, I'm going to give you a deck of cards, right? Playing cards. Um, there are 52 cards in one deck. Okay. It has all the possible cards in that deck, right? Now from that deck, one card is missing. Okay. So you basically get 51 cards. Now you have to write an algorithm to tell me which card is missing. Okay. Everybody understand the question? Okay. No? Okay, go ahead. That's go. What do you? Okay, so see, guys, this is exactly what you need to do, right? Usually, interviewers start giving you like a vague description. The thing is, it's a two-way communication. You need to be they're checking. Would you ask questions, or if I say something, do this, and you're like, all right, and just start doing it. Clarify some of the things that you don't understand. Okay, interviewers are prepared. They're expecting you're going to ask question, kind of clarify the situation, narrow it down. It's probably the vague, extremely. They give you like a vague problem, and it's your responsibility to kind of break it down and come to the point that you can start coding. Okay, so go ahead. What's the question? Repeat myself. Okay. All right, that's a good one. You can always do. Well, I didn't get it. I've done that. Okay, can you say it again? I'm not sure what it means. Okay, so at that point you will see the interviewer will actually start writing on the board or try to clarify themselves. Right. So I'm going to give you a deck of cards. Right. A deck of cards has 52 in them. Right. Um, from the deck, one card is missing. Right. So this means you are getting 51 cards in your hand, okay? And you need to tell me what is that missing card, okay? As a human, what would you do? You will like spread it out and kind of go through them or something and say, oh, this one is missing, all right? Now, how do you write a function or a program that tells me which one of this card is missing?
Check the quantity of each, what's it called? Spades, diamonds, whatever. Check if the quantity, the suit. Check if it's a black card. There's 13. And then you could know to look within that suit.
Okay. So again, here's a mistake over here. Is it well, you haven't clarified what it I just said like a random deck of cards. But when you translate to JavaScript like a programming language, what is it? Am I giving you an array? How am I giving you those cards? Right? That's the question. You don't even have anything to start writing code. I just said a problem, but how do you translate this into JavaScript code? There's no deck of cards in JavaScript, right? I mean, how do you start writing that code? So the question is, okay, is this an array? That should be the first question. So what am I giving? I'm giving you an array of something.
Wouldn't variable be like a new deck of cards?
Right. That's the question that you guys should be asking. That okay, how does the input translates where I can start coding? Okay, is it going to be an array? Okay, and I'm going to say yeah, it's going to be an array. What is this going to be an array of? How do you identify the cards? Okay, so I was okay. That's a good question. I'm going to give you an array of objects. Okay, and my object is going to have two properties. The first one will be the suit that the card belongs to, and then the number of that card, or let's say called value of that card. So for example, it could be heart, and this could be ace, right? So you're going to have an array of these objects, right? Each individual objects, okay? And the first property identifies the suit that card belongs to, and then the value of that card. So this could be ace, jack, king, queen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 9. Okay? So basically you are getting an array with 51 elements, and each element looks like this. Okay? So please make sure you ask questions, clarify before you start writing code. Because just me saying this thing, you can't even start writing code because you don't even know what the input is. Do you know the input when I said it? You don't even know it. Is it going to be an array? Is it going to be an object? How do you write that code? Okay. So always make sure, even if it is clear, make sure you ask question and be 100% sure what you are trying to do before you start doing anything.
This example, what do I do?
What example? What do you do? So the question is, what do I do? That's my question. You can't ask that question. You have to tell me how would you do it.
I don't know, I would.
Right. So if you say I don't know, then I mean we can't proceed from there. All right. So well, okay. That's what I'm saying. Take few minutes. You don't have to answer right now. Take 5-10 minutes. Gather your thoughts. Write it down on paper. Don't even have to code. Just come up with an algorithm. Right. How would you, if you have an array and then you have objects, how do I simplify that I can come to a algorithm? Chris had one, and in few minutes we'll go. And is it still valid, Chris? Your algorithm?
Thinking about it.
Okay. That's good. So take few minutes, think about it. Again, there's no. This probably doesn't even have. Well, I shouldn't give spoilers, but the most right now it's probably the interviewer is looking at how would you approach that problem. What do you come? What's your thinking style? Okay. Raymond, did you have something?
So I have an idea how to do it,
Okay. What's your idea?
so I think what I would probably do is, I would just, you probably want to, I think of your array as like a, like number from like 0 to 51, and then put like, and then like maybe start with like, I don't know, let's see, the hearts, diamonds, spades, clubs, in that order, and then put the correct card in the slot as you sort through the array of cards.
That's a good
And
one.
because otherwise you end up with like an n squared
Mm.
for like groups.
So Raymond already has a lot of experience with it, so that's why. So don't worry about n squared. If you heard it, I know what he's saying, and he's probably right also.
Yeah, O order n.
Okay, all right. I'll stop you right over there. Josh, I know what you're going for, and it's right. Yes.
I would ask if the value is gonna always return. Is it gonna be a number? Will it be a string?
It's a good question.
Can be Boolean.
Right.
And then I would try to sort it out. And maybe like a push array with the student or students.
That's a really good question. So it's still too complicated, right? I've given you something that's still complicated. When you walk through this, you will see the solution is not as complicated. But what I like to call is white noise. They kind of add these distractions around the problem just to see if you can actually find what they're actually asking. Yes, George.
Could you just have like a for each, like basically log each sweep and value, like log each object inside of it,
Okay. And then
and then you'd have to go through it manually and try to figure out.
maybe like you look at it and say this one is missing. You can't do it.
After you log it.
Huh?
That's what I mean.
Right. How would you know which one is missing?
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Okay.
But I'm just.
Right. So yes, Irina.
Can we use console.log in the dog by
You can use console log, but why would you use console log?
So I will just see what's missing there.
Right. Okay. So that's you are trying to come up with an algorithm that your computer can tell you. If I have to look at it, then yes. Right. What you have to do is basically they're saying write a function that's going to, let's say, deck of cards, and you get an array. Okay, and then you return me the missing card. This is what you have to do. You have to complete this function. Okay, Yeah, the second question should have been, okay, how does the function look like? Usually you will see people are willing to stub this out and give you this, at least this as a starting point. Okay. So now can you console log and do it? You can console log it, but you won't be able to return anything. How do you return something? That's what I'm looking for. To return something.
Oh, I thought there's already 51 somewhere.
Yeah, there are 51 cards over here. This array that you get, it has 51 cards. Array.length gives you 51.
51.
We'll say 51. Okay. So the thing is, you need to reduce this to a easier thing. I mean, just finding the object, using the object in this case is difficult. But what you can do is you can kind of simplify this. Now, what if I, instead of saying the deck of cards, what if I said I'm going to give you an array of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, an array of numbers, and this array is going to have numbers from 1 to 5. Okay, and it has all the numbers, all are unique. Same with card, right? Cards are unique. 51 means it's not going to repeat itself. So I'm going to give you an array, and this array is going to have numbers between 1 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, and then from this array, one of them is missing. For example, this will have 5, 3, 1, and 2. Okay, but I'm going to tell you that this array is eventually 5 numbers long, that it should have all 5 numbers, and one of them is missing. How do you tell me now which one is missing? Okay, before you see what happened? This thing is kind of similar to this thing. The only thing is this has a lot of words and kind of confusing, but this problem kind of comes down to the same thing, that you have an array of unique elements and one of them is missing. If you can solve this one, or you can come to this one, it's kind of similar. Then you have to come up with how do you uniquely identify them? Okay, that's not what they are looking for anyway. Okay, they're seeing if you can kind of bring it down to an easy solution. Can you do this? Now, what about this one now? I've reduced the problem. I'm saying you have an array, and I'm going to tell you this is an array of 5 numbers. Basically, it means you have numbers from 1 to 5, but one of them is missing. How do you find this now? All right. Anybody else other than Raymond? Now can you think, Arena? Something? How do you? This is kind of simplified now. Now you have an array and you have to find, again, except console logging and looking at this. What is it? Okay, that's a start. Okay, don't worry about the for loop. Maybe in English, what would you do? For loop, syntax, that's fine. What's your thought behind it? Like, how would you find? Anybody else other than Raymond?
There's not a number like that, so just have to put it.
Okay. Okay. Now let's go to the compare them. Okay. So how would I compare them?
So I know there's number 1 to 5, so I'm saying in
Okay. So you're going to say switch. If this is 1, then do
this
this.
is 1, and if there is the 1, so just go ahead. If there is 2, but there is no 2, hey, I'll put the dots to take control of and we're missing this number.
Okay. So this has now changed to find the missing number. Missing number. Okay. And this is going to return a missing number, which is going to be a integer data or number. Missing number. Okay. So you have an array and you said a for loop. Start with a for loop. 1 to array then. Again, you can see I'm kind of pseudo coding, so it doesn't matter. But everybody understand I'm running a for loop. What's next, Arena? How do I compare?
That's too long.
Exactly. That's too much work.
It's really not gonna cover.
Yeah, and this is only 5. your algorithm should be able to scale. What if I give you 1 to 100, and then I say between 1 to 100 there's a number that is missing? How do you? So now you're going to have 100 switch statements.
Well,
Then
if
I
you have
s-
an array with all the numbers in it, you just figure out which one's missing.
Right, which one? That's a good thing. But how do you? What's the code? Tell me what. How would you figure it out?
So if I is equal to the value of the array element,
Okay.
and if it's equal, so I have it. If it's not, so it's missing.
So let's start. So you start with index number 0, which is 5. If 5 is equal to, oh, this is 0 actually. This is I, right? He says so 0 is equal to, this translates to 5. That's never going to be true. So I is this loop, right? 0 to when?
So every time I have to adjust the to the element of array, and if I have to calculate,
Right. You can see it's not the right algorithm because there's too much work. Anybody else?
so what do you do?
Right. What's
Michael.
Maybe if you like set up an array and if they pick a number out of the array, you can read through the array and check to see if the interval is consistent with each number, and then as soon as they pick
interesting. So I think what she's saying is you pick, let's suppose 5. Let's suppose I pick 2. Okay, you go to any index, right? At this point doesn't matter. You pick 2 and then you compare 2 with this one, with this one. Is that what you're saying? And then this one and see if this exists.
like if you did number 1 through 100 and you picked out
That's what 89 is missing. How do I find that? That's good questions. Anybody else? All right, Raymond. It's time to shine. Go ahead.
Oh,
Solve
I
it.
mean, I think that it's I mean, I just figure out a way to add it up, but you realize the flaw with that, because I mean.
What's the flaw?
You'd have to do something weird, like make the soup like its own value.
Oh, no, yeah. Forget about this suit. What about this one? Tell me about this one.
If I just add it up and then you just subtract it from 15, and then
What is the, if I, so I'm telling you that the array has numbers 1 to 5 and then 1 is missing. What's the total for this? Array, if it is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What's the total? 15. Okay. And then total this. What's the total for this one? 11. 15 minus 11 will always give you the number that's missing. You see it? So you know the endpoints. Now I know 1 to 100. I'm going to calculate, I'm going to sum all the numbers from 1 to 100 because I know the endpoints. Alright? I'm going to get a total. And then I'm going to sum my array by input array. Okay? And then I'm going to subtract the total from this. It's always going to give you the number that is missing. Let's see it. How do I do a sum? I can write a for loop and then iterate through each one, keep adding them, right? I plus is equal to the next one, it will keep adding it up.
Can you just use the
Array what?
array reduce?
What does array reduce do?
Just adds all the elements together and give you the sum.
I think it's a string, right? It combines as a string.
No, it provides
Numbers,
numbers.
okay. But you are using a function. That's okay. You can use a reduce and it will give you a number. That's okay. That's fine. That's the syntax part. What the interviewer is looking for, can you arrive to this logic? That's more important. That's where the thinking part. That's why you get those 100K to think about it. Syntax, I told you, right? Syntax is not as deep. You will see once you have a good understanding of any one language, everything else probably like 2 weeks and you will start coding in C#. You will start coding. It doesn't matter. I can look at any code and I can figure out what's going. I even don't know that language, right? That's the thing. But what is important is this thinking part. Can you come up with this thing? Okay. Now, you can use filter, reduce. That's fine. You can maybe I'm doing it in Java. I don't have that reduce function. That's fine. I can find something else and do it. That's not the point. Point is, you come up with an algorithm. This is what the algorithm is. What is it? How do you learn to think like that? How? Huh? Lots and lots and lots of practice. Leadcode.com. That's it. Okay? LeadCode, Ethan posted that on the channel. It all comes from practice. Okay? You do enough practice that you are going to start recognizing, as soon as you see this, you're going to start recognizing what is the distractors in the question. You're going to eliminate those and come to the main point and solve it. Again, how do you get to it? Practice. You go through these questions enough that you will see that there's always a pattern. Okay? It comes with practice. You keep solving those. At this point, when I do lead code, I already, even after reading, I kind of know exactly what to use. Usually that's the case. You just need to find out what are the things that you need to throw them out. Interesting, last cohort, there was a girl who posted a question, and that was asked from American Express. And at some point, I'll share you that question. That question, if you read, you will be like, I think like Google is asking that question. Seriously, it was like almost like a page long and looked like super complicated. Okay? But if you take that white noise out, it was a really simple algorithm, and they were only looking for like an array parsing or something. Seriously, it was like ridiculously simple. The only thing is they had added like so much content over there that it made it more confusing. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to distract you and try to see if you can kind of identify what's the important part over here. Okay? Now, how can you even improve this? You have to add these numbers, right? In math, there's a formula which says, Raymond, do you know that formula? Yes.
Well, A can get it.
No, he doesn't. He's saying he doesn't.
Maybe the sum of one times the sum of another divided by two.
Yep. It is n multiplied by n plus 1 and 2. And n is the maximum that you are trying to set. For example, 5, I have 5 numbers. So put 5 over here. 5 into 6 divided by 2, which is 30 by 2, which comes down to 50. So this formula will give you the addition of all the numbers to that maximum. For example, you can put 100. So this formula will give you all the addition of numbers from 1 to 100 will give you the total number. Okay? Questions?
So after we determine the number, then how do we determine the suit? I mean, there's 4 of each
Oh, okay.
number.
So it's going to be something similar. Suite is a little bit more complicated. What you can do is you can assign. These are going to be these are going to be unique anyway. You can assign a number to each one. That heart of ace is going to be 1, and the second is going to be 2. Kind of convert them into integers. Okay, and then do the same calculation. And when you find my heart ace is going to map to the number 1. Heart 2 is going to map to number 2. Heart 3 is going to map to 3. Keep going. Map all the 52 cards to a number. So basically, this becomes a array of integers, and then use the formula, find the one that is missing, and find. Let's suppose 49 is missing, and then see which suit it kind of finds out. Okay.
So you wouldn't solve the whole thing. Like, you
Well, yeah,
would
that's
explain the
yeah.
logic.
If they are looking for this logic, they are trying to see if you can come up with it. Usually they ask this in like whiteboarding, so they are looking for, can you draw some this, can you write some logic or explain how would you approach it.
But they wouldn't make you go through all 20 or 52, write them all down.
No. If you just tell them, there's even an algorithm to do that. It's kind of a bit advanced, but you will get there. You can say I'm going to create a map, and
Okay.
I will if I'm an interviewer, I will okay. I know what she's talking about. So I would say, okay, you have created a map. Let's suppose this is what I was looking for. Now you have a map of this. How do you solve this? That's the question. Okay. Any other questions? All right, let's do this time. Let's do the one that you are going to actually write code, and then actually can solve it. Okay. So this is like the hello world of interview questions. I don't know. You guys must have heard it. It's called FizzBuzz. Anybody heard about FizzBuzz? These kind of questions, they are called FizzBuzz questions, where they try to ask you to write this algorithms. Okay. So this is how FizzBuzz goes. Let me give you instructions, and this time you are actually going to write the code for it. Think for a few minutes, come up with an algorithm, and then code this out. Okay. So you're going to write a program, which is a function. You can start with a function. Okay. And you're going to get a number. You have to identify if the number is a multiple of 3, you're going to console log fizz. If the number is multiple of 5, you're going to console log buzz. If the number is a multiple of 3 and 5, you're going to console log fizzbuzz.
You said that again.
What is it?
You said that again.
Again, good question. See? All right. And let me go ahead. I'm going to actually post this. All right. So write a program that you're going to get a number as an input. If the number is a multiple of 3, you are going to console log print fizz, just the word fizz. If the number is a multiple of 5, you're going to print just this word buzz. If the number is a multiple of 3 and 5, you're going to print fizz buzz. Multiple, exactly. So that's a good question. What do I mean by a multiple? What is a multiple?
3, 6, 9, 12,
Right?
7.
A multiple of 3 is 3, 6, 9, 15, 18. Multiple of 5 is 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay. Now how do you translate that into math? If I give you any more thing, it's like almost solving the problem now. So that's the problem. That what do you understand are multiples, and how do you find out the number that I give you is a multiple of 3 or 5 or both? For example, I'm going to do my input is 6. Okay, so what should this print out?
No, it's reminder of 2, 0.
Okay, so this should print fizz.
Yeah.
Right? If I give you 15, what should it print? Fizz buzz. Okay, if I give you 10, buzz. Okay, so you guys get the question. Now, translate that into code. Actually write the code, it should be running. You can do it. What is it? Alright, let me if they have not slacked out, let me slack out the instructions. On the computer. Yeah. Take a pseudo code it out on your paper if that's what you're more comfortable, and then write the actual code.
The instructions are in activity 16 as well.
And you can write this code with everything that we have learned with Java. What activity is this? 16. Okay, thank you. Most recently, somebody actually asked me literally this question. It was like end of the interview, and they were like, you know what? Just as a formality, can you just whiteboard this FizzBuzz? He just said, "Can you whiteboard FizzBuzz?" I mean, the understanding is if somebody says FizzBuzz, this is the question they're referring to. It was like, "Oh, can you just code it out? I just want to put it on paper that you know how to code." I was like, "Okay." It was like kind of nice. It was actually a window, and I was like drawing on the window over there. Yeah,
With a marker.
with a marker.
Okay, we can go.
Yeah.
So everyone out in the main room.
Yeah, I can see you
staring
from
at
from the hand. That's good. So you can start with a function, call it fizz buzz. You can start with the easy one that just one number comes in. If you solve that, then you can do the array part also. So basically, you're going to be passed a number here. Can say num. Then you can set this number on the top as a, let's suppose, 6. Okay, so you get 6. Now how do you console log that? This could be a starting point. Simple. I know you guys are still learning the language, kind of understanding it. But not to scare you guys, in the real world, this question is expected to be done in like 5 minutes. That's the expectation. If somebody asks you this question, like within 5 minutes, you should be able to write the code. I mean, to be honest, not a lot of companies actually ask this question anymore. They're like, "Oh, this is like too easy." This is considered like a super easy question. Expectation is between like 5 to 10 minutes. You should be able to solve this. Irina, did you get the logic? What's the logic? Okay. Okay. So it's just the position of your thing. Why don't you move the last one on the top? Why don't you check the 3 and 5 first and then check the rest? So she's saying use the remainder. So like, for example, if number and the remainder operation is percentage, if the remainder of this is 0, this means this is a multiple of 3. So phase, okay, remainder, yeah, mod, it's called mod. Else if the number that you pass in is, okay, if the remainder is 0, this means it can be divided by 5. So you're going to console log buzz. Okay, and then if it's multiple of both, you're going to say fizzbuzz. Fizzbuzz. Okay, now the problem is if it's a multiple of both, this is going to print, then it's going to print over here because it satisfies the first condition. To solve this, you can just move this as your first condition. Then check if it is multiple of both first, and then check the rest of them. Okay, any questions?
Console log, or you just return, as soon as you like return, this was, or
No, it's at console log. You can just console log. This should be sufficient to pass this question.
you could put return.
Yeah, you can do return, you can do return, but it doesn't add any value. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's do another one. This time, number 23 is called prime checker. So let's take a look at that one. Prime checker. All right, so in this case, it's saying write a function that checks to see if a number is a prime number or not. That's it. You're going to return true or false based on if it is a prime number, you're going to return true. If it is not a prime number, you're going to return false. Okay, and the definition of prime number is given in the next line. Any brave soul wants to come up and whiteboard this question actually? It's too early. Chris, I see Chris C. I see you want to do it. Huh? Not that. Give it a try. I mean, we'll I know you know the syntax. It's just So I'll stub out the function for you. So function is time. Okay, and then you're going to get a variable called number. And then at the end, you're going to return boolean instead of true. You want to do it? What?
What is the percentage sign mean?
It's called a modulus operator. returns you the remainder. Then you make a when you divide something. Let's suppose we are dividing 6 by 3. So we say right? Modulus returns you this. What was that?
He's going to explain to me that's the opposite of the square root. But not really.
Opposite of a square root.
Like if it is a square root, then it would be that kind of. And not very, I'm going to remember that. Like if it is a square root,
Okay.
even square root.
Please, everybody, ignore what Sarah is saying. It has nothing to do with square root. I'm not sure how she's going to remember that, but good for her. Chris, Marco is waiting. Give it a try. I know you already got the prime number over there. So you have a number, and then it's going to return true or false. There you go. That's the first step to just step up and do the whiteboarding. It's going to happen to every one of us. So, it's better to get embarrassed right now than you're standing in front of somebody. If the number is less than number. Oh, divided by? Okay. All right. So use the 3 equal to because I think you're trying to say is equal to. Like, equal. Okay. Comparison number divided by. Yeah, just do a console log. That's fine. Start with that and we can. Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, I guess you should do, if it's not 0, put it in the letter.
No, I didn't get it. So if let's suppose I pass in 7. So it will say if 7 is divided by 7 is equal to 0.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to say 1. If I pass in 9, which is not a prime number, so
Should be.
but the 9 divided by 9 is going to be 0. See that's the reason people ask to whiteboard is a lot of people know it. It's just how do you do it? What you quit? Come on, try something different. Raymond, no. Anybody else? So, Basim, you want to try it? Yeah. All right. Come on. Nice. So the first thing I would suggest is understand what a prime number is and how would, as a human, you would solve that problem. Suppose 7. How do I know 7 is a prime number? Not because I learned that 7 is a prime number. How would you identify that is a prime number? Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. We're more interested in the logic. Okay. So he has a loop from 0 to 100. So I mod with itself is always going to give you a 0. That is always going to be true. Yes. But I'm saying your first condition is never going to be false. Is it going to be false in any case? You're saying I mod with I. Basically, you are saying if I give you 7, you are saying 7 mod with 7, 0. If I give you 8, it's going to be 0. So again, that's still not. Think about it. So you are saying I mod with itself. Like it's a we are trying to refer to num instead of I. Is that what you're trying to do?
No.
What is I?
What I was trying to do is create a for loop that goes through 100, and then inside that for loop create an if statement that if I, which can be any number divided by itself, is equal to 1, which is my somewhat prime number, 0 or 1 is what I was trying to do.
So all numbers are divided by themselves is going to give you. There's no number that will give you 1. What number will give you 1? Give me an example. For what number this you're on the right path, it's just a condition is related. So what condition and what number you're going to have 1. Mod with itself, right? Is going to be 0. No, this is what mod gives you. The remainder. Okay? So there's no number that when you divide itself gives you a. So what is the definition of a prime number? Or 1. It's only divided by itself and 1. So let's suppose if I have 7. Okay? 7 is I want to find out if 7 is a prime number or not. So what is the definition? If 7 is only divided by 1 or itself 7. There is no number in between that divides 7 and it will give you a remainder. For example, let's suppose 9. Okay? Is 9 a prime number? I don't know. Right? But I know the definition. The definition of prime number is that it can only be divided by itself and the number 1. There shouldn't be any other number that can divide this. Let's start from 2, 3. 3 is not 1 or 9, but there is a number that can divide 9. So this means 9 is not a prime number. Let's check 8. Start again. 2 can divide 8, so this means 8 is not a prime number. Let's take 11. Start the count. Can 2 divide 11? No. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. None of these can divide 11 except 1 and itself. So this means 11 is a prime number. Now how do you code that out? You had the for loop, right?
Would it, instead of you putting I divided by I, would it be I divided by 2 equals?
Not 2. Why would you pick the number 2? It has to be, you have to make sure that none of these numbers which are less than 11 are divided by 11. Let me get what you do.
Is there a way
Yeah,
to do
go
that?
ahead.
With two for loops?
Go through what?
Is there a way to do it without using two for loops?
Without using two for loops. Yeah. What's your algorithm for 2 for loops? What does the first one do and what does the next one do? Okay. So again, you guys are missing the number that is being passed in. So you are given a number. Let's suppose that number. You have to verify if that number is a prime number or not. Yeah, you just need one for loop. All right, let's see. Prime number less than 9. Okay, you guys see it? I think John has got it. No, if it is divisible, it's not a prime number then, right? Yeah, the remainder. Okay, if the remainder is 0, okay. Okay.
Any, right there.
No, it's close. You're almost there. It's just the return statement. Just walk through your code.
So I'm looking through all my numbers to see if the number.
Okay, let's start with 11. Let's suppose I give you 11. What's going to happen?
We'll start with 1 and then try to.
Okay. Do we need to start with 1? Because all numbers are divisible by 1. It's unnecessary iteration. You can put it, but it's unnecessary. So it's safe to say that all numbers are divisible by 1, so we can skip 1. We can start the loop from 2. Okay? Alright, so your end condition is 9. Why is it 9? Why did you pick 9?
That's just what popped in my head.
Okay. So again, let's suppose I give you 11. How far are you looking to? Where is it?
It's already divisible by itself, so.
So one less than the total, right?
See it? Right? So you can put num that gets past 10. You just want to verify up to this number. Like less than this number, so it will stop at 10. Okay? Because at this point, if it is not divisible by anything, then it's a prime number. Okay? Now walk through. Now the condition comes in. Let's suppose, let's try for 11. So you get 2. What do? Num is 11. 11 mod 2. 11 mod 2 gives you a remainder. It's not going to give you 0. Okay? So you keep going through it. What else?
So I need an and. So if num is equal to I ignore that case. Right?
Is equal to.
So if the number is 11 and you're checking 11, you don't want to return true.
Right.
No, I'm not going to have a remainder of that.
Okay? Yeah. So what you can do is you can create a variable before the for loop saying such that it is prime, and then keep looping through it, and then at the end just return that boolean. So you are actually pretty close. This is the condition. The only thing is this return type. Let's suppose we create a boolean. Let's say var is prime. Okay, and I set it to false right now. Now use this variable and return and set that variable. So if let's suppose if num is, if you do a mod and it comes to 0, what does this tell you? Is it a prime number or not?
Yes.
If it comes to 0,
No.
it's not a prime number. Okay, so set the boolean to true or false. What are you going to set? Like remove the return, just set it. So is prime is equal to. Okay, you guys see it? If it is divisible, now the definition of prime is that none of these should be able to divide it. So let's suppose if I pass in 6, it's divisible over here, so it's going to be, it's not a prime number. It's also divisible over here, not a prime number. But if everything between the number that you get except 1, you can remove this because every number is divisible by 1, and that's the definition. So from here to the end of the number that gets passed, if it is divisible by any one of them, this means it's not a prime number. If it is not divisible by all of this, like a single one of them, this means it's a prime number. For example, 12. What are you going to do for 12? You will check with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay? You can make it more efficient. As soon as you get something that divides it, you can return and say, oh, it's never going to be a prime number. That's the next step. But for now, if you are doing first pass and you're just trying to solve this issue, you are basically going through every number until the number that gets passed to you. So now if I pass you 35, you're going to start from 2, 34, and see if there's a number that divides 35. If there is, this means it's not a prime number. Let's suppose I give you 37. You're going to start the loop from 2 up to 37. There is no number in between these two that divides 37. Okay? So it's going to run the loop from 2 to 36, and it won't find any number that it divides 37, then 37 becomes the prime number. You guys see the logic? John, you got it? You were right. I mean, it was just the end condition that needs to be fixed. You cannot put a number over there because I can pass anything, and the maximum is actually the one that gets passed in over here. The one thing. That's your maximum, basically. You're running through the for loop. Any questions? Trust me, these are actually real questions that has been asked. Okay, there are a few more, and over time, we'll go through them. There's one more that I want to show you guys. I'm going to go through the logic, but towards the end of the course, there's a whole week dedicated to algorithms, and that algorithm will come up again, and we'll take a look at that again. But this is a more simple one, so I want to just show you guys and see if you can kind of come up with an algorithm on your own. Okay, before I do that, any questions on this one? Okay, again, just how John did it, this is the usual case. You will be expected to step up in front of the whiteboard and code this out. Okay. One thing when I was interviewing on the phone, what used to happen is mostly programmers are, you give a question and they are now like just trying to solve without saying anything, and they're like concentrating super hard and they're trying to solve that problem. Okay, what I learned was if you get a problem, you need to talk it out. You know, whatever you're typing, whatever you're writing, keep talking. Okay, what happens is interviewers are listening to you, like how you're walking through the question, how you're walking through the problem. If you are making a mistake, they will actually stop you, be like, okay, you know, are you sure about this line, or you know, can you check that condition again? Right? But if you are just like silent and they're not going to help you. Okay. Initially, this was my biggest mistake. They would give me a problem and I would be like, all right, type, don't say anything for like 10 minutes, and then say, oh, this is the solution, and they would be like, well, it doesn't look like right. This is the issue. What I did was instead I would like talk it out. I would talk the solution. I would say, oh, I'm thinking I would do this. I'm thinking I would create a map, or I would run a for loop. I think I need 2 for loops. And then they would say, well, are you sure you need 2 for loops? You can do it with 1. Then you know that I'm not going to think in that position. I'm going to be, okay, now I know the solution is 1 for loop because he already gave me the hint, right? He or she told me that I can do it with 1 for loop. Again, if I don't say anything, they won't give you a hint. Okay, so every time you're coding, make sure you are like talking to the interviewer and just thinking aloud. I know there's a lot of stuff going over here. You just need to vocalize that thing. Okay, so let's do one last. I just want to introduce one algorithm, and this is a little bit tricky one, and these are super famous algorithms, and this is called bubble sort. Anybody heard of this one? Bubble sort? Huh? Other than Raymond? Oh, you have? Okay. So, what is bubble sort? There are algorithms that will sort your array. Right? What does it mean? Let's suppose I have an array of these numbers 5, 4, 9, 10, 1. If you use the sorting algorithm, it's going to give you the output as 1, 4, 5, 9, and 10. Okay? So bubble sort is one of the algorithms. It's easy to understand, but is highly inefficient. Nobody uses it. If you use it, bubble sort, you're going to run into. But it's a good starting point, and people ask this question to see what you're understanding. It's super easy to actually code it out also. Okay. Now, how does bubble sort work? Again, everybody understand that this is the array and the result should be this. What bubble sort does is it compares the elements, the neighbor elements. So example is going to start from here, is going to compare this and its neighbor. It's going to see which one is the larger number. Okay? If this is bigger than its neighbor, it's going to swap, it's going to switch it. Okay? It's going to do this. Okay? Started with this and compared its neighbor and switched it. Okay? So now at this position it's 4, 5, and this is where the for loop is running. Okay? Now when it is over here, it's going to compare this and its neighbor. If this is less than this, it's not going to do anything. Okay, it's going to skip and it's going to come over here. Okay. Now the same thing, it compared itself with this one. If this is smaller, nothing has to be done, they are already sorted. Okay? And then comes over. Now it checks this one. 10 is of course greater than 1, so these are in the wrong position. It's going to go ahead and switch this. Okay, so the output would be 4, 5, 9, 1, and 10. Okay, it's getting there, but it's not sorted yet. All right, so what it's going to do is it's going to come back and start from the start of the array again. Start from here again. It's going to compare these two. Are these in the right order? They are. It's going to go to the next one. It's going to compare these two. Right order? Yes. It's going to come to this one. Right order? No. It's going to switch it around. So it's going to be 4, 5, 1, and 9. Then it's going to compare 9 and 10. They are in the right order, so it's going to just don't do anything. Still not sorted. It's getting there. Now it's going to start again. Compare these two. These are fine. So 4, 5 are fine. 5 and 1, not so fine. So it's going to switch it over. So this is going to become 1, 5. 5 and 9 and 10, they are all sorted. It's going to compare the neighbors and there won't be any more switching. Still not sorted. It's going to come back over here. 4 and 1, switch. 1, 4, 5, 9 and 10. So we compare 4 and 5, these are good. 5 and 9, these are good. 9 and 10, these are good. So going to compare last time to make sure this is all sorted. 1 and 4, good. 4 and 5, good, good, good. If it finds nothing to swap, it's going to say this array is sorted. As long as it finds something that it has to switch, the array is going to assume that the array is not sorted. Okay? Why is it called bubble sort? Because you see the numbers are bubbled up, or basically bubbled to the beginning of the array. The numbers that are less are kind of bubbled to the beginning of the array. So it's called bubble sort.
That's the name of the function.
That's the name of the sorting algorithm. It's called bubble sort. Okay, one more time. If you get this array, start from the first index, compares it with neighbors. If it needs swapping, it's going to swap these two numbers, and then move on to the next one. Compare these two, then these two, and these two. If it requires swapping, it's going to switch it around. Okay, it's going to keep doing this until it reaches a point when it does a comparison and there's nothing to swap. Okay? If there's nothing to swap, it's going to say the array is sorted. Questions? Everybody understand bubble sort?
How do you document it?
Right, that's the thing that you guys are going to do. I'm going to explain the algorithm.
Okay.
You guys have to code it out. So that's what I'm saying. Do you understand the algorithm, what it is doing? No questions? You guys are the first group that actually understood bubble sort in their first go. Seriously. You got it? Okay, so this is one of the things, and the expectation is you understand bubble sort. In the interviewer, at this point, usually people kind of go prepared to make sure that they know how bubble sort works, and there are a few more algorithms. But you can ask your interviewer, oh, how does bubble sort work? It's not a really good impression. Usually the expectation is you know how it works. Again, I don't even remember how this works, but what I do is I have my notes, I look at it, and I remember, oh, this is how bubble sort works. Okay. Now the challenge is how do you put this in code? Okay. So the function would be you are going to get an array. Same thing. You're going to get create a function, and then you're going to call that function bubble sort. Okay. And the argument you're going to get an array, which is an unsorted, which is an array of numbers, all right, which are unsorted. And then you have to run this algorithm. You have to write code that does all this and returns an array that is sorted. Return a new array which is sorted. Okay. I mean, we have a few minutes, just think through it. I'm going to post the solution, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is give it a try and see if you can come up with this algorithm. It's pretty challenging at this point, but if you're able to crack this, it's nothing that you haven't learned. It's for loops, if conditions, and you can solve this problem. Okay. I hope today's class was helpful to give you a insight how it works. Again, as I have said, even my previous students, I'm here even after the cohort ends. You need any mock interview, I can mock interview with you. I can sit through. I have so many algorithm questions I can ask you. Easy, medium, difficult. We'll stop at medium most probably, but I can ask you like real questions that ask. Okay. But please let me know, mentorship, you want some help, I'm always here. Okay, give it a try to solve this if you are able to. And then on Saturday, we are going to jump back into JavaScript, callbacks, all those stuff. Okay, it's going to be a pretty tough 2 weeks. All right, I hope everybody is kind of try to catch up on JavaScript because next we are going to look at APIs and all that stuff. Okay, oh yeah, homework. Ethan is going to introduce the homework. Take a look at the homework and then that should be it. Oops.